you guys know, I'm not sure if you ever heard this, but do you know where the Democrat Party gets most of their money from?
Well, Act Blue, right?
Well, yes, but there's a particular subset of the population that they get most of their money from. It's not a conspiracy. It's in mainstream newspapers. The Democrat Party gets 50% of their money. You can look I think it's Jerusalem Post or Times of Israel. 50% of the money that goes into the Democrat Party comes out of Israel. And this might sound astounding to some people and they might find it unbelievable, but the gay capital of the world, the LGBTQ capital of the world, in the 1920s, it was Weimar, Germany. Today, it's Tel Aviv, Israel.
Whoa!
Why did the Democrats promote LGBTQ? Because they get most of their money from Israel, and Israel is the gay capital of the world. Literally, Israel has the highest population of pedophiles in the world. Most pedophiles that are high level in the U.S., they run to Israel to hide. Israel controls the porn industry. A rabbi controls Pornhub. Another guy who's a very wealthy guy runs OnlyFans, and he takes the money from OnlyFans and puts it into the wars with Israel. They run HIAS is the illegal immigration. They run that.
So think about this. If what is basically happening, the Democrats are masters of this. It's money laundering. I'm not saying the Republicans don't do it. George Bush death call. And I'm sure there'll be a time where we find out Trump did it too. I'm not saying that, okay? Yeah. I have both sides. I'm politically atheist. I'm politically nihilist. Okay, when some good happens, I cheer it on. Some bad happens, I boo. I hiss. Boo hiss. Okay, so that's how I go, bro. So, but if you think about all the money that is sent to Israel, yes, some of it goes to the bombs. Some of it goes to pay for their socialism. Right? They have complete socialism over there. But some of it comes back and is used to completely fund the political process.
Just like Ukraine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, that's why people got mad at me. You can't have conversations anymore without emotional retards throwing up all over it with their tears of stupidity and ignorance. They don't know anything. Like I posted a thing about Julia Roberts. I posted it about how she was all like pro BLM, totally down with it at a time when people in Hollywood, all these elites were funding, they were literally like, what was it called? What were they saying? Match. Remember that? Yeah. They were like match, and they were matching, basically bonding people out of jail. All of these BLM and Antifa people, they're bonding. And then Julie Roberts loses her mind when these looters start looting her neighborhood, right? And a complete other hypocrisy. I posted that. And of course, out of nowhere, a friend of mine, progressive female who, I normally have shown a lot of kindness to, right? Jumps in my Instagram. I go, are you saying the looters are all black? And I go, no, 4 of them were. Most of them were Latino, and there was one shady-ass white person, okay? One shady-ass white guy that made some bad decisions, okay?
See, that's another problem, and in order for descriptions to be made, we have to, sometimes we say white, black, dark skin, if we're talking about race, or we're talking about ethnicity, or even religion. But ultimately, like, as Americans, we're just Americans. Ultimately, a crime is a crime. It's not really a hate crime per se, unless you're trying to find out why people are committing crimes. A crime is a crime. Americans are Americans. And if you're talking about people looting, they're looting. It really doesn't matter what color they are or what their religion is.
Yeah, well, that's my whole thing. It's like, when I had people that I love tell me that they voted against criminalizing crime. You remember that when that was on the bill in LA? Like,
voted against.
Are we going to criminalize crime? And they were basically, right? And I love them. They were basically like, these CVS, what are those called? Pharmacies. Or,
CVS.
Whatever they're called. Stores should have security there. I go, but at the basis of it,
that's her art. They don't have this. Their job for having. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Because they write off the losses. But I go,
who cares?
But I go, it doesn't even matter because at the core, That is a crime. We all agree
it's a crime, exactly.
Crime is wrong.
Oh, so somebody comes into your house and you have renter's insurance. Just let them have some stuff. The insurance company's going to pay for it.
Again, love this. This is not, and I'm not getting into the detail because I love this person with all my heart. But I had to be quiet, because I just didn't want. But at the end, a crime is a crime, dude.
Crazy.
What was the purpose of that?
You were saying about how she flipped out about her emotions.
So she flips out on me, right? She flips out on me, and she doesn't even understand what I'm trying to say. Is that there's this group of people that their money put them above the fray, so they could vote with their heart, and they could vote on single issues or vote against hate. Like, dude, because that's all the Democrats ran on. Was hate. Oh, dude, vote for us or hate's going to reign.
Nobody in a tough neighborhood is voting to decriminalize theft. Nobody.
Because they're behind gated communities. And you can't even get in there, even though now that's starting to happen. They're jumping fences and doing all that stuff. But right,
LeBron James was all pro squatter until someone started squatting next to his mansion. Then he became opposed to it.
But you're talking about
who else did that too? Steph Curry's like all pro the people and all that shit until they want to open up a drug center near his house. Then he did everything he could to stop that from getting built. That's what I'm saying.
You're talking about celebrities and emotions. Who cried harder this weekend? Selena Gomez over about Mexicans being deported. She doesn't know anything.
She doesn't know anything.
She can barely speak Spanish. She's out here defending us.
Well, again, it's like, are you crying for the children that are gone? And do you understand that? Like, I'm not saying this process is perfect and that families there isn't going to be some stuff. And unfortunately, probably some good people are going to be caught up in a bad situation. But it's like, and by the way, they're not just grabbing Mexican Latinos. They're trying to make this. Dude, there was a Jewish guy that was wanted for kiddie porn. They got him. There's a bunch of a
lot of those
Filipinos. Like China's agreed to take back their people.
I know you guys think Colombians are Mexicans, but the Colombians also weren't letting the plane in. Whatever they had.
They found that.
Yeah. That's the same thing that happened in the 30s in Germany. In fact, the Holocaust Museum acknowledges that. They'll say that if you go to the website, you'll find a whole page about what Hitler's initial plan was. And it wasn't to exterminate Jews. It wasn't even to round Jews up. It was to get illegal immigrants out of Germany or illegal migrants. And a lot of them were Jewish. There's a difference between intending to round up a specific group of people and then rounding up people in general for something that's illegal. And most of them happen to be one race, religion, creed, nationality, etc. And that's kind of what's happening now. It does affect all those other people, but they're making it about Mexicans. It's anti-Mexican. It's racist. Same thing with Hitler. It's anti-Jew. No, it was anti-crime. That was the big thing. And that's what we see happening today as well. It's anti-crime. But that's the narrative to play on people's emotions, obviously.
No, I agree with you, dude. I totally agree with you.
I'm curious, do you want to kind of merge together the occult stuff and the political stuff? I have a few things you might find interesting.
Let's do it.
Okay, so although she's not in the public consciousness probably anymore and never will be again, before the election or right around the time Kamala Harris was selected to be the Democrat, I did a little bit of investigation just playing around with her name to see what her name meant. I was curious because of her supposedly Indian background. And I found that in Sanskrit, Kamala means pale red. And then her middle name is Devi. Devi is a Hindu goddess. Devi is the goddess of destruction. So she's the pale red goddess of destruction, which, considering the fact that when she came out in announcement of her candidacy, she wore the scarlet purple suit. That's the description given in the book of Revelation for the whore of Babylon, or the scarlet woman. She wore scarlet, red, purple, and her name means the pale red goddess of destruction. And you read things like that, and I actually have a photo of this. I could share it with you. It's unbelievable. I typed in on that radio show I did on The Secret Teachings, because I was looking for the exact verse to quote it. I typed in whore of Babylon verse to get the exact verse. You know what popped up? A news article for Kamala Harris as the whore of Babylon. And it was the New York Times, and it was about her stance on abortion. Well, check this out. Her main argument for her campaign was one of her main things, abortion. Well, the equivalent to Devi in terms of her destructive qualities, or the red lady in the book of Revelation, chaos, destruction, death, the opposite of life, L-I-F, Ephil, reverse it, evil. L-I-V, to live, the opposite is evil, E-V-I-L, L-I-V-E. Well, or love too, L-O-V-E-V-O-L, evil, love. So that's the opposite. That's the reverse. That's what we call Satanism. It's the opposite of life. Well, the equivalent in the Jewish tradition, going back to the biblical story, is Lilith, or Lamashtu, the queen of night, who was the aborter of children. And get this, this is from an encyclopedia of mythology. Lilith wears around her neck a necklace which is rainbow colored. And her goal, her main motive, was to hunt down children, kidnap them, kill them, drink their blood, and do really bad things to them. Now, I can't think, is there a group today that uses the rainbow to go after children? Like, I start thinking about things like this, and I'm thinking, okay, you got a red goddess of destruction, a queen of night. Her main goal is abortion. They wear the rainbow necklace. Like, that's really, really weird. And then, you know, you look at the stuff with Donald Trump. I mentioned the MAGA and the Church of Satan, the fifth degree in the Church of Satan. But if you go to the Bible and you read the book of John, Exodus, Mark, I think Leviticus as well, it talks about the arrest of Jesus and how the servant of the high priest has their ear cut. And around the time Trump was shot,
oh my God,
right ear cut. And if he's not the priest, he is below the priests of the Church of Satan, which would be MAGA. I'm not saying that is, I don't have TDS. I just find that to be really, really weird, really interesting. Whatever that means, I don't think I have the knowledge to come to a conclusion. But when I find those patterns and parallels, that really, really intrigues me and it bothers me, and I don't know what to think about it. And that's why I just present it to people and let people think about it, whatever they choose to. And you could say the same thing about when Elon Musk changed his name on X to Lord Kekius. Well, what is Kekius? Kekius is literally the frog god of the abyss. The abyss is the Ogdod, or the eighth sphere. Geometrically speaking, it would be the eighth point where the seven other rays, or the 7 days of creation, comes out of. It's not the creator god, it's a creator, or what Plato called the demiurgos. In other words, it would be a representation, the Ogdod would be a representation of the eighth sphere, or the sphere of the grand or great architect, the false god that creates a false world. And that's what Kek is, the god of the abyss. And Kek has a frog head and a cat head. And the cat and frog head is also how Colin DePlancy depicted the demon Baal. And the demon Baal was worshipped by the Jews in the Bible under the name of Remphan, which is where the Star of David comes from. It's the star of Saturn, or Chion. And that star of Saturn is the black cube of the infernal world. And you have Lord Kekius Maximus using the Roman terminology, Elon Musk did. And then you have Donald Trump, who is this guy they make fun of him, says he has orange skin, blonde hair. Well, guess who's associated with Kek? Abraxas, the god of orange and yellow. So this stuff is very strange. I don't know what to make of it, but what do you guys think of stuff like that?
You are speaking my language, bro. You got anything else on that? I'll listen to that all day. Are we talking demiurge?
Well, demiurgos is what Plato called it, 2,500 years ago. The Gnostic scriptures are kind of, I think, misinterpreted, but demiurgos just means not like the devil per se, but just like the constructor, the architect of the physical world, or illusion, if you will. So you have, in the Platonic concept, you have 10 spheres, right? 10 is perfection. They call that pleroma. The 9th sphere is the Ennead. And then the 8th sphere is the sphere of creators, which would be the realm of Kek, or Kekius, the realm of Baal, the realm of the devil, the realm of Moloch, who the Jews and others were accused of sacrificing children to in the Bible, or the synagogue of Satan. These are the geometrical and the Platonic concepts of the structure of the universe, and also the geometrical Pythagorean concepts of the structure of the universe. A lot of this stuff is, of course, metaphoric, but the spirits of these things, I think, can take the shape of people like Kamala Harris. When you drink alcohol, we still call that spirits, because in the old world, when you would drink, you would think, oh, well, they're possessed by something. There's a spirit there, because they didn't necessarily understand drunkenness. It's kind of a similar thing. A lot of these archetypes and these stories and these myths come from that kind of interpretation of human behavior. So, for example, the followers of characters like Lilith, for example, and the Jewish name, named Mormo, for example, in Greece, was a demon who would hunt children, and the followers of this particular deity, who was kind of like a vampire, they would do things that you guys would understand as being very similar to what we see happening on the far left today. What they would do is they would dress like men. The women would dress like men. They would literally carry around fake penises to pretend like they were men, and they would find children and hurt them, and they would wear rainbows. Like, I'm not making that up. I read that in a very old book on magic about Greek and Roman period time, like magical practices and myths. Has nothing to do, it wasn't even written in the last 10 or 15 years. It's an old book. You see that resurrection of that kind of spirit today in the world. You see those images in Abraxas and Trump, in Kekius and Elon Musk. I mean, hell, even Werner von Braun wrote a book called Mars, A Technical Tale, and he talks about, you know, there's a war on Earth, humans go to Mars, and they find a race of aliens that are super advanced technologically, and they're led by a guy named Elon. And then they bring him to Earth with all the advanced technology. Like, it's weird, right? I don't know what to make of that. Bizarre.
I do. I think it's old gods, and they're trying to reestablish themselves.
Resurrect them?
Yeah,
bring them to life?
100%. Reestablish themselves as the predominant religion. You know, regardless of what you think, I believe in Christ, and I think Christ was sent down to give us the code on how to thrive in this whatever reality we're in.
Can I ask you a quick question about it? Practically, do you think, because like us, we're believers, right? But we don't see any evidence. You know, it's faith for us. Do you think that they actually witness like magic?
Like it's literal?
Yeah, literal magic in this world. I'm asking Sam.
Do I think that sorcerers witness sorcery?
Or is it
I
more,
believe it, Johnny.
You do? Okay.
As I've stated here before, I think they've hardwired sorcery. I think all these next-gen weapons are like hardwired sorcery. Direct energy weapons, reading our phones, reading our minds, that's telepathic. I mean, like, they've hardwired it. It's taken centuries to do it.